With that, I'll turn it over to Jean.
Come on up, team. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. There we go. Okay, just want to make sure we're awake. So before we get started talking about reporting out on our rapid improvement event, I just kind of wanted to get two things established. Number one, lead is bad for human health. Lead is not good for people. Number two, there is no lead in Denver Water source water. Lead enters into homes through the service line that connects from the main in the street into their home, and enters in through their plumbing. Okay, so there's no lead in Denver source water. There's no water in the water we send from the treatment plants through the distribution system. All good with that? Okay, now we can begin. So our rapid improvement event was guidelines for communicating about lead service lines rapid improvement event. So this is our team. I am Alexis. I work in public affairs, but my nickname for the week was Alexa. And this is Keisha Coombs. She works in customer service field. This is Candace Monaco. She works in customer care. This is Pete Garduno. He works in central dispatch. And this is Ariel. When she's not being a mermaid, she works in transmission and distribution as a planner scheduler. We actually had two people who are in the photo who couldn't be here today. One was Randy Kipps. He's a pipe foreman, as well as Joe Shanks, who works for Denver Urban Renewal Authority. So he served as Fresh Eyes and then the subject matter expert for our Dura program. Okay. As in any rapid improvement event, there's a lot of people that you go to for help and assistance and guidance. So the customer experience core team, every report out or throughout the event, you guys have been really valuable in kind of seeking guidance and input. Randy Kipps's crew, we went out to visit them. They actually said that they were more productive because he wasn't out there and he was in the event with us. So I don't know. But they were really helpful in seeing us, showing us how they install a meter pit and how they kind of make sure that it's up to grade. And since we had Keisha out there, she holds us to the highest standard, so she made sure that they were doing it right. Additionally, we visited Robbie D. Herrera's crew because they were only 2 blocks down on their pipe job. We were looking at some of the work that T&D crews are having to do to manage the trees and all of the canopy landscape, especially in those older neighborhoods. Also, Todd Blake and IT, anything that deals with M-Field, you want Todd Blake's advice on that. Eric Edwards on Cognos reporting. Jessica Fry and Ryan Price gave us some guidance from a training or like learning an OD perspective. And then Joe Shanks, again, not just serving as Fresh Eyes, but being there with us for 3 days of the rapid improvement event was really helpful. And then Pam Williams giving us guidance on the Kraken. Okay, reason for action. Why did we do this? Here, I'm going to read. So lead service line replacement is a complex and evolving issue. It's further complicated by the fact that Denver Water doesn't own the service lines. And this is a common misconception. From the tap into the home, that entire service line is owned by the customer. That's a tough thing to explain to customers, and we'll get into that a little bit. We have established guidelines to determine when a lead service line should be replaced by Denver Water, but we see many exceptions to those standard guidelines, a lot of one-off situations, and this results in a lot of inefficiencies within the process and a lot of confusion among employees, and then that confusion gets translated onto the customer. So we need to review our procedures on how we communicate about lead service lines and communicate about our replacement program and figure out a way to satisfy a customer's reasonable expectations regarding their lead service line. Keisha.
So this is our current state map, and on the far left you can see all the different color squares. Those actually represent all of the different groups of people that are involved with the service line replacement inside Denver Water and outside, involving our customers and our contractors. And because of this, there's a lot of inconsistent communication given to our customers. And for our current state, because of all the inconsistent information, it causes frustration and confusion to our customers and to the Denver Water employees on what kind of information we need to give that customer so they have an understanding of why the service line is being replaced, the importance of getting the lead out, and letting them understand who owns what, who's responsible for what, and let them have a better understanding of what to expect and the benefit they're actually receiving with the service line replacement, because a lot of them don't understand that.
So here we drew a picture of what we would like our target state to look like. We just want to make like a clearer process, more understandable, keeping it simple with less steps. The more simple it is, the easier it'll be for all of us to keep the information consistent when providing it to our customers. So for our gap analysis, we created fishbones, and what we did is we took each of our problem statements and we categorized them each and grouped them all separately onto each separate fishbone so we can kind of separate each pain point and keep them all together. So right here, we started identifying our solutions. So one by one, we went through each separate pain point and we started asking ourselves, okay, what's the problem? You know, why is this a problem? How are we going to fix this? Also, like, what experiments can we start doing to get this resolved?
Our accomplishments were we were able to auto-generate service line inspection FAs, which will reduce unnecessary truck rolls. The lead service line replacement information sharing sessions will be at all hands meetings, staff meetings for all pertinent employees. Accomplishments this week, Dura will provide filter and flushing instructions to the homeowner. The team revised the inflow page. We'll have the new procedure uploaded by next week onto inflow.
Okay, so just to clarify again, my name is actually Aria. I have the most exciting slides here. I've got the metrics, the numbers. So let's talk about that. Basically, we are trying to increase the amount of customers that are eligible for the Dura program. Some are limited just based on the guidelines that we have established for the program. So we want to talk to the Office of the General Counsel to see if we can make exceptions for instances when we have run into like a church, a daycare, restaurants, places where they're serving water to these people and they may want to take a loan on to actually get their service line replaced. It's not going to be a huge change, but we're hoping to increase the number of eligible customers from 80 to about 90%. We also want to train the employees, again, on just communicating the lead service line program, options, resources that we have. So we're looking to target about 100 employees. And then the number of service lines replaced outside of the established guidelines. Currently, we're sitting at about 10%. We want to drop that to about 5%. We built ourselves a little bit of cushion because there's going to be situations that we're going to have to go out there and replace these service lines regardless. If a way valve is sheared and we need to make sure that we can turn that water on and off, we're going to have to go out there and do that work. But there are instances that we can reduce that number. So. And the completion plan. So the things that we actually got done this week, we did provide Dura with pictures, filters, and flushing instructions. We realized that we weren't communicating the same message with Dura and ourselves in regards to the post-service line replacement standards that we use. We want to make sure they're flushing that water and that they're provided the same materials that we're giving customers. So we did give them all of that. We updated the procedure document for lead service line replacement as well. That is available on Inflow, so any of you can go read it. It's very exciting. We've also got some things, let's see, we're going to auto-generate service line inspection FAs, so it's not such a manual process. We will be creating automated reporting surrounding the lead service lines. Currently our information is in multiple systems, as you all know. So we're going to see if we can get that in one place and everybody can access it at the click of a button and we all get the same information, which is a great thing. Let's see here. We want to update Kraken with lead resource links so that it's more user-friendly for customer care and they feel more confident talking to these customers about the options and resources that we have. All right, and let's see our lessons learned. Denver Forestry loves their trees. We did learn that. Let's see, we know that a lot of the customers don't fully understand the benefit that we're providing them if we do a full service line replacement or even a partial service line replacement, the health benefits, the monetary benefits, everything associated with that. I think one of the biggest takeaways for Joe with Dura is the importance of flushing after a lead service line replacement. So I'm really glad we drove that home with him. We all feel accomplished. We're confident about speaking to it. It definitely was a great team. We worked really well. One of the things we really took away is we can say, Alexa, talk lead to me. We definitely embraced a lot of our values here. We feel like Denver Water cares about the health of their customers. We're obviously going in the right direction, trying to give them the same information, and we respect them no matter what demographic they come from. Do you have any questions? Of course. Of course.
The Dura filter thing, and remind me, I know this, were we providing that before, and now we're going to?
So Denver Water has always provided pitcher and filters if we're doing a partial or full service line replacement, but there's instances when Dura will go out there before us, or they'll go do a full service line replacement if it's an elective one, and they weren't providing that same information in the pitchers and filters as well.
And then, with goal on there to have 100 employees educated,
Mhm.
are you targeting like certain groups, like a random?
Yeah, we're just, pulling them out of a hat. No, we're trying to touch the people that are actually involved in the process. So we want to hit like customer service field, customer care, inspections, people who are actually out there having these conversations, emergency services, dispatch. T&D's been pretty consistent with it because we're dealing with it on a regular basis, but we want to get those groups that aren't dealing with it day to day. And we want to make sure that we're all communicating the same message. Yes?
How many more lead line services are out there that need to be done?
What are we at? Alexa, talk lead.
So we're not exactly sure about how many lead service lines are in our service area. We suspect there could be as many as 57,000. That number comes from an estimate looking at tap age and home age. Anything that's pre-1951 is more likely to contain lead, but what we find in the field is anything in between. We see a lot of mixed material service lines, and at any given point, a customer could have replaced it and not informed us in the past. So it's the high estimate is about 57,000.
So the age of the home and new construction, say, from 1986, is that possible that their house is building new lead line services? I exactly don't know.
If your house was built in 1986, it's not very likely. However, we do come across situations in redevelopment where they did not update the tap, but they built, they popped the top, they completely renovated the inside, and they did not, which is why in 2016 we revised a policy on scrape-offs where they've got to go through our water sales department and do a service line evaluation so we can catch those if they're going to do a redevelopment, that they're upgrading that service line as well. Excellent questions, Anthony. Thank you. Anything else? Yeah, Michelle.
Sorry, just back to the training and I get support for your training. I also think it is important to help educate the rest of the organization because we're all out in public and speaking and they have people coming passionate. So will there be information available to the organization as a whole?
Absolutely. That was one of the activities for the week. We updated the lead inflow page. Did anybody know that we had a lead page on inflow? Okay, well, we have a lead page on inflow. And what that page got revised to look like was just, here are the clear points about the lead program. And by training, we mean I'm going to go talk at people's staff meetings. So if anybody wants to hear about lead, I would love to talk to you guys about lead. That's my job. So yeah, absolutely. We're going to target the groups that are communicating with customers every day. But I know that questions come up for all employees. So absolutely, we can definitely look at talking at staff meetings, things like that. Pam.
Gave it a break. So did you guys talk, I'm sure you probably talked a bit about your point, Aria, and your slide of how customers sometimes don't understand / fear that they have with. So as we know, they discuss sometimes they're like, well, I don't want to replace that. Do you guys talk about that gap at all, like how to bridge that, and especially to help with your goal, like, well, I guess your goal is to make more people eligible, but maybe you can also take your on that and those discussions we've had with each other. But.
So Pam, you're asking about It's been a challenge to convince customers that their lead service line is potentially posing a public health risk or a health risk to their family, and finding incentives and what's the conversation to get them to replace it. As far as I know, Aria, on pipe replacement, we get a pretty high success rate. So if we're doing a full replacement, customers typically are going to take us up on that offer. When it's a service line leak and they are going to be responsible for a portion of it, nobody wants to fork over thousands of dollars. And so it's been a real challenge with those conversations. I'm hoping that the program evolves, that we can actually offer other incentives to get customers to do it. But with what we've got right now with Dura and even working with customer contractors, I think it's just having that consistent conversation and then making sure that our processes by which we send out a water quality test kit following and give them a lot of information about lead, or they take a water quality test and we follow up with the right education, so that all of the mechanisms we've put in place kind of bombard the customer with the right information, and then at that point we've done the best we can. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. No, it is not. It is not. Right. Okay. I think there's a lot of other presentations, so we're out of time. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask Aria. Or ask Alexa. But thanks for your time. Good job.
All right, good morning. So, we have the team here for the REI, Construction Grounds Training and Advancement. And I just want to mention that for the last 12 weeks, I've had the opportunity to hang out with our CI team as part of the boot camp that eventually all trades leads and supervisors will go through. And it was an eye-opening experience to see firsthand how you guys perform phenomenally, the work that you do, and to see the value that you guys bring to the organization. And I learned just enough to facilitate my own A3 event here, and I appreciate their support and the help that they gave me to prepare for it. So, to get started, this A3 stemmed from changes that are taking place in the trades department and the impact that it's had on the construction ground shop. Is that we've experienced multiple shop merges in our recent history, and what it's done is it's really broadened the scope of work that we take on to a point where we recognize the need to have some kind of established cross-training plan if we're going to continue to maintain a level of quality work to our internal customers. And we knew that whatever plan we came up with shouldn't just benefit Denver Water, but also give incentive for our self-motivated technicians to want to take on these new talents and see benefit from doing that. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Steve. He's going to introduce our team.
Move the slide, Jason. Okay, good morning, everybody. Let me introduce the team. I'm Steve Holder. I work in the trades. To my left, because we're not all lined up right, this is Jim Henley. He's works in the construction ground shop. Who do I got? I want to make sure. Greg Schenner, he works in the construction ground shop. Thomas May, he also works in the construction ground shop. Bill Peck, environmental compliance. Nick Montez from mechanical shop. And down on the end is Patty Webborn, who is our trades planner. Okay, so we want to give a special thanks to a couple people, Bill Haskell, Rob Richmar. In the middle of the event, we brought them in, and kind of as events go, you get a little off or you need some direct feedback. So we wanted to specifically recognize those two because they really kept us on track. And there's probably way more that we didn't put on there, but anyone that did help, we appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. All right. So again, Jason kind of laid it out pretty much what we did, but let me hit on it a little bit. For our box one, there's a lack of uniformity with skill sets among construction ground shop personnel. I won't read the whole thing, but supervisors are often limited to one or two experts for specific technical jobs. Otherwise, quality, efficiency, or safety may be compromised. Technical knowledge is not quantified, and evaluating and hiring are largely instinctive. Self-motivated technicians lack defined benchmarks to measure their progress. So that's what got us going.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Thomas, Construction and Ground. So I kind of use this picture to give everybody just a general idea of what we do on the construction side. So we start with site preparation. We will frame, do the roofing. We'll do siding. Doors and hardware included, signage. Denver Water loves their signs. I think everybody realizes that. And then on the inside, which you don't see here, we'll do the sheetrock finish, texture, paint, that kind of thing. And then with the painting, part of that is we do the pump stations, the vaults, the treatment plants. Those are all painted by us. We do a lot of our painting also in a booth. We do actually have a paint booth that we do some painting in, whether it be vehicle parts or specialty parts that are needed for the electricians, plumbers, etc., that kind of thing. We could go into massive detail, but of course I won't. And then a lot of safety rails and vault lids and all that. And one of our main things in the construction shop that we reiterate every morning at our morning meetings is safety. Safety is one of the most important things that there are to us, and we make sure to address that. Thank you. Oh, wow. It was great.
Thank you, and I am Greg, and I am from the construction ground shop. I mainly work in the ground shop, and I'm just going to kind of give you an idea of what the ground shop does for Denver Water. So we maintain all the landscaping for all the facilities in the Denver metro area. That's from water treatment plants to pump stations, vaults, right-of-ways. We also do snow removal for Denver Water here too. If you see out there, it's out there in 10 below zero. Don't feel too bad for us. We kind of got used to it by now. But we also do the snow removal at all the pump stations if they have a sidewalk or a walkway. So we're out all day in snow vents. We also help anytime there's a main pipeline replacement in the street or a main break. We are responsible for replacing the homeowner's landscaping. So this is a typical picture. This was a couple of years ago. This is the one at Arapahoe Road and University, which was you can see the massive hole. And the amount of mud that washed up here on this businesses, and as we clean it up, and this is our restoration. So that's kind of what we do. We try to help everybody get back, the businesses and homeowners back up again. So thank you.
Good morning. I'd like to be the first to apologize for our lack of artistic skills, but we usually build and fix things, okay? In our current state, we've pinpointed, among other things, that there's a lack of training for specific jobs, a lack of standards to meet those jobs. There's actually no tool to measure core skills and abilities. And even though we do have a great safety record, there's no expectation to exceed safety standards, which we will highlight later. When we advance to our target state, we will have many happy customers with no recalls, techs highly trained for standard work, objective evaluations, and opportunities for cross-training and advancement. Oh, by the way, sometime in the future, all Maximos will be completed in a timely manner with excellent results. I got it in there, guys.
That's a tough act to follow, eh? So we did the standard root cause using the fishbone. just ran through the pain points. And what we came up with, kind of our problem statements. We had 4 or 5. We focused on lack of cross-training, varied quality of work, no way to identify required training, and tracking that training progress for the construction and grounds technicians. And then also safety training topics really weren't matching up with the perceived and recognized hazards that the technicians are encountering on a daily basis. So one of the solutions that we spent quite a bit of time with actually was working on really trying to identify and track those training requirements for the technicians. We were actually able to borrow this matrix from our environmental management system, and what it does is it identifies everything. We use we use Greg and Thomas's and Jim's input as well as Jason's. They're all construction and grounds personnel. And we went through pretty much, and it's a laundry list. This matrix is a laundry list of everything. I'll put that down because it's making a lot of noise. It's a laundry list of everything that they do on a regular basis. So we identified that as the task main topic. For instance, we have here, might be difficult to read, roofing. And then we had a task subtopic after that. So you have different types of roofing. So you might have EPDM, which is kind of like a rubber substrate. You've got built up, composite shingles, metal, etc. And then each one of those subtasks has a specific task associated with it. So for example, EPDM rubber is concerned with not only installation, but leak diagnosis and then flashing, applying the metal flashing around the edging and so forth. So for each one of those areas, is it necessary to have training before you do that assignment, actual like quasi-formalized training, or is on-the-job training sufficient? Are there any certifications available in those types of training? How often do you need to have that training? Is it just before your initial job assignment? Is it annual? Is it every 3 years, like in the case of forklifts? Any types of notes. We have a notes column. Maybe vendors have product-specific training that's available that we might want to take advantage of. And then we kind of move into kind of like the assessment of competency for each one of these individual training tasks. So, did they complete the training in that area? And then we have an area where we want a technician to demonstrate knowledge, and that's based on a 1 to 4 scale. And their supervisor will be the one that's performing that assessment of them able to demonstrate their knowledge. And then we applied a formula here so that we can actually calculate that demonstrated knowledge, and for the opportunities to advance up from a technician to a senior technician, I think we established a 75% threshold in this demonstrates knowledge category. And then we also, the last 2 columns here are resource and resource links. So that's the training resource. For instance, in the grounds, the state publishes, a lot of noxious weeds publications. And a lot of times there's a website where you can go and get that access that training information. So we've kind of created an archive here for those training resources as well. So this will really help trying to, identify what training is needed and also track the progress to completion and advancement in those training areas. Next slide, please. Another area that we kind of came up with as far as a problem statement was a lack of cross-training. Grounds is getting a lot of help now from construction. It's summertime, grounds is kind of short-staffed, construction has been helping out. There are some training shortfalls there because Thomas isn't a grounds guy, and just like Greg is a construction shop technician. So we used an existing matrix, right? This came from within construction, to use as an opportunity to not only provide cross-training, but this will also be a useful tool to supervisors and lead techs when they actually have to go and schedule jobs. Because what we see here, each technician, for each given skill that we've identified across the top, and we've broken these skills down according to core skills and then additional skills. But each one of these, this isn't as detailed as the prior matrix we just saw. And you can run through this matrix here, and we'll stay with EPDM roofing as an example. Again, hard to see. There's actually 4 squares within this main square. each colored square represents an advancement in training or a training milestone. So 1 square means you completed your training. 2 means that you can do the work with help. 3 means you can do the work without help. And then a completely full square means that you are now certified or have the ability to train somebody else to do that job. So what this does is at a glance is it allows a supervisor or scheduler or lead technician to look at a list of available resources and see not only what they're trained for, but their level of training in that particular skill set, so that they can better and more effectively assign people to the given tasks.
I just wanted to give a special thanks to Bill and Environmental Compliance, because they had this matrix, and we kind of went back to it, and it helped to build a framework. But right here is our core skills and our buckets. So we identified our core skills, and these are the core skills that a senior technician needs to have to perform the job effectively. So we kind of went back and we looked, okay, roofing, painting, paint booth, all this stuff, but we also wanted to look at what's the current backlog in the shop. And right now, the current backlog that is really hitting their shop is groundskeeping. So we wanted to make sure that we had that in our core skills. If you look at the top there, demonstratability. So this helps us kind of gauge and have a more black and white reference. So if the technician is at a 4, that means that they can train others. They can train others. And going through all these core skills, if we go up to the 75% proficiency in core skills, that allows either Jason or Bill to say, okay, this person can get advanced to the senior tech position. Let's see, I'll go over to the next slide. So, as we said before, safety is number 1 here at Denver Water. We really wanted to hit on this topic and have some way to have the technicians get involved in the safety, especially at our morning stand-up meetings. So what we came up with is we're going to have one rotating weekly safety person. They're going to be in charge with this safety topic for each day. So that might involve them, researching what jobs they have for the week. Maybe print out a sheet or something like that. But that way it's relevant to what they're doing, so that every day it doesn't kind of turn back into, oh, make sure you got safety glasses on, or make sure you got steel toe boots, stuff like that. The safety person will be given the schedule every week on Thursday, because that's when our weekly schedules go out, is Thursday. So they'll have that schedule beforehand. That way they can prepare for the next week. And like I said, this is going to happen at our morning stand-up meetings. Okay.
Hi. So, what is this additional work? What?
This was we were kind of running into a problem where we had trucks that weren't supplied and that were left dirty and that kind of thing. So we've come up with a plan. I think I sent you the wrong one, because all the, nobody's going to go through 50 things, everything to make sure their truck's clean. But the general idea is to have accountability for your truck when you come in at the end of the day. Make sure it's resupplied, make sure the trash is thrown out, make sure it's ready so the technician that grabs that truck the next day can put his work in there and go, and not have to clean out yours or look for tools or that kind of thing. So it's kind of a daily checklist that we want to use to make sure that we have a consistent, clean truck that goes out to where the public sees. I mean, the public perception of a clean truck versus a mess is a lot different. So this is just a checklist to make sure that we can get to that on a daily and weekly basis.
So what do we have left to do? We have left to do continue to add the links to the matrix sheet so that there's training that's quickly available. They can link on that, or they can go to a DW source. And we have identified those trainings specifically so they don't have to hunt. It's right there for them. And then Jason and Bill will have to continue to identify each technician's skill level. So they can put that in, and then they have that set standard, and then they can go forward and know what they need to do in the future.
The other thing we have is to implement the employee stand-up safety topic, which should not be difficult. They already have done this in the past, so now it's just making it a little more organized and easier for them to do. And then that was our metrics. So our metrics, we plan to complete, I have the amount notes, sorry. So most completed within labor productions, that's our plan versus actuals. We have a report on that. So we want, in the future, what we are planning for that job to take. If it takes 4 hours, we want to meet that timeline. So we want to have 2 techs, 4 hours, and be done with that job. And we want to reduce and eliminate reassign maximums. So when our technicians go out, they're prepared for that job. They don't have to come back. They have everything that they need on their truck, and they get that job done. Customer satisfaction goes up. Everybody's happy. We are looking at 6 to 8 weeks for experiments to acquire the rest of these metrics. So after we run our experiments, we expect to have some numbers for you guys in about 6 to 8 weeks. And then as far as our insights, what did we learn? There's always room for improvement. We work well as a team. This team is amazing. There was no hostility. There was no ever any bad moment. How do we feel? We feel good about the trades. We accomplished a lot, and we're satisfied with our training matrix. And our values for this week, excellence. Excellence came up a lot. We just have really high standards, and these guys really have good intent. So thank you. Is there any questions? Yes, sir. Rob? Our safety days.
We're at 3,500 plus for our safety days. There was about a...
Next question I have also, how many new members on this team are fresh to CI right now? There's more than 2. 3.
Jim? No, you had one. No, Jim had one.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think there was another. I thought there was another.
Good morning, everyone. So over the last couple of months or so, we've had a VSA to develop processes to manage the emergency backup generators that Denver Water has. In the first event, we looked at regulations and getting into compliance with those environmental rules. This was our second event as part of the VSA to look at generator criticality. So we were looking at what would happen if the utility power went out and the backup generator didn't kick on. What are the risks to Denver Water and operating our assets? We had a really good team this week. Just to introduce them, we had Dave Sredinsky, Ben Skolodra, Tim Halinka, myself, Joel Zadeklik, Shayla Gavin-Futas, and Randy Sanchez. Lots of people helped us out this week. Tad Kogan helped produce the criticality assessment with Shayla. Mary Price came to the report outs and gave us guidance. Jason Tausig sat in for most of the event and helped us out. Tom Rude, Dave Brancio, Nicole Babiak, Nicole Poncelet, Patty Brubaker, and Andrea Song all helped us out with knowledge of the treatment system. And then the supervisors and SOS helped provide some knowledge of the dam facilities and their assets too.
Okay, so for our reason of action, we were looking to see if we have an overabundance of generators sitting out in the system. We answered this question real quick, real fast. We don't. Number of generator requirements that should looked at per consequence of failure or probability of failure. How does it affect Denver Water, the distribution system in SOS and in treatment? And then conduct that criticality assessment on our generators itself to see what we're really looking at, how they will fit into the system. And then the aim was to come up with the best possible maintenance plans for the generators.
So in order to start assessing our criticality, we first had to look at the condition of our assets, and we had to predict when they would fail, and we did that by ranking all of our assets on a 5-point scale for the following categories, which were physical life consumption, operational performance, so does it do what we want it to do, does it even turn on, Maintainability, so how often are CMs and RMs arising? Physical appearance and condition monitoring, just some basic condition guidelines, and then parts available and lead time. So can we have this asset in 8 hours, or is it going to take us more than a month to get it? Again, 1 was the lowest score we could give it for the category, and 5 was the most concerning, it's going to fail. We then averaged the score and multiplied it by our consequence of failure, which we did something very similar. We looked at impact to health and safety, environment, cost, public image, and environment. And what we did with that is, again, on a 1 to 5 scale, if this generator fails, what is going to happen to health and safety, then environment. And we found out that this is our criticality score right here. So what we did is we then had to multiply those together, and we got our business risk exposure, but this is our process of actually going through every generator and going through 10 different categories, ranking them 1 to 5, and then someone else helped us do the math for the averages since we were getting tired of looking at those Post-its.
So we put the business risk exposure scores on a business risk exposure chart. The top left-hand corner represents a relatively insignificant risk, and as you go down to the bottom right-hand corner, we start to get into a catastrophic risk. As we were putting the scores together, I think a number of us in the room were really concerned that we weren't going to break out any big differences, but I think you can see it really kind of does break it out. Shay spent some additional time this week kind of mapping it out by generator number then, and then breaking out water control system generators, SOS generators, and treatment generators. This data is available, and you can look at it in greater detail on the Continuous Improvement SharePoint site, generator VSA. Excuse me. I think it's back to you.
Then metrics, we crossed a couple out right away to say those need to be done with another RE. How we're going to maintain these criticality, maintaining them, and also the cost of maintain or remove. We only came up with 2 ones that even were possible we could look at, but we got to look at them first. The criticality assessment, we did 100%. We got through it. It came out really good. I was kind of shocked because on her charts, it showed exactly how we went through our generators and looked at them about how critical they are to the system.
And so we had a really good event this week. There was a lot of expertise in the room. Joel's provided a lot of expertise to us this week and given us a lot of knowledge. The things we learned was that dam reliability is directly correlated to generator criticality. We learned more about system operations, and we learned that collective knowledge is crucial. Some of the feelings we had this week were the results were interesting, and I think most of us felt a little less paranoid about what was out in the system, kind of understanding it a little bit better. And the values we had for this week were passion, excellence, and we really were developing a vision for the future on how to maintain a lot of these assets and improve reliability. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, then I think we're good. Thank you very much.
So again, how did that feel for those 3 report outs? Pretty good? We got good people getting together, solving problems, making things better. So have a great weekend.